on my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandy will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons.
Hey, happy Friday.
I forgot what day it was. Friday. Hey, Friday. Happy Friday.
Happy freaking Friday.
Freaking Friday. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yes. How are you, Brent?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
I am good. I am overly stuffed full. I went out to eat and so I'm full.
I'm not doing so well. I'm not doing so well. So I'm in there and I'm, put my hair up in a braid and, and I'm like, oh my God, look at all the gray. Just like, oh my goodness. There she is.
All right. Just full disclosure. I need to tell you guys this. And I was a premature grayer. Like I started going gray or white when I was 16. And so honest to God, all of my hair is white, but I found that there's time in a bottle and it's in the supermarket aisle. And I apply it every once in a while. It works fine.
Yep.
I don't know. We're gonna have to call this like the Grays and Booze or something.
I'm telling you, it's the Ghosts and Grays now.
There you go.
Yeah,
Ghosts and Grays.
Yeah,
Ghosts and Grays. Well, you know what though? So I haven't dyed my hair in a long time, and I did that on purpose. And my hair color is coming in, and it's coming in gray, and I'm letting it go gray.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. So
There
I'm going back to all natural.
Oh well, you know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Brandy, we can always change the name of the show. Go gray and be proud. There's some really pretty grays out there, though.
There it is. The Ghost and Grays. I think you're onto something. Or they used to be Blondes and Booze.
Yeah, well, it used to be.
It used to be.
The Blondes and Booze with a line through it and Ghosts and Grays. Yeah.
Ghosts and Grays.
There we go.
That'll work.
Yeah. So it works for me. I'm all good with it.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. Settled.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever cut my hair off. I don't think I could ever do it.
No.
So I think I'll just let it go gray. That's just it. I'm there.
I'm not going to cut my hair. I'm going to keep it long, but I like, seriously, you can't see it. Looks really blonde, but it's really not. If you really look up there close.
What's a nice color?
It blends right in.
Yeah.
Well, my hairdresser that cuts my hair, she told me that. She's like, I really like this color coming in on you. I was like, well, thank you.
It's the new platinum.
There you go. So there you go. So I'll have at the conference, I'll have one top of my head will be one color and the bottom will be another.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. There we go. Speaking of the conference, Brent, you're coming.
I'm gonna be there. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of a whiplash trip for me because I think it literally is 21 hours each way, and it's like 21 hours, which is 2 days of driving, and then the conference days, and then 21 hours back. So it's gonna be like a lot of miles, but it'll be great. I'm really excited.
So with the price of gas and hotel, and why are you just not flying?
Honestly, because I don't mind driving. Honestly, I kind of enjoy it. And second, because I do want to bring my display and stuff with, and for my booth, I'm just gonna deck it out. I'm gonna win a prize. I'm thinking. Is there a contest? Because I'm.
Well, I don't know now. I'm gonna have to say you got some pretty stiff competition.
Yeah.
We have one from Alaska.
Oof.
And we have one from California.
Are they all driving?
I don't know about the last one. I don't
I don't know
think
about driving. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to have a little contest of who drove the longest.
That's true. Yeah.
there you go.
Like
There you
a Ghosts and Grays t-shirt, maybe.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna have to get rid of our banners and everything, Brandy. What the heck, man?
I know. We're just gonna have to get the grandma outfit on and just
Well,
deal
we
with
won't
it.
go that far.
I don't think I could ever do it. I am so used to like t-shirts and jeans. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's
No.
it.
Krista doesn't wear dresses, just saying.
I don't know. We get the nice little buttoned-up moo-moos, you know.
Yep.
Oh God. Yeah.
True story. True story.
I might
The
have
last
to break.
dress I wore was in 2018, and I only wore it because I was made to wear it, and that was to my son's wedding. I wanted to wear a nice pantsuit, you know. He's like, no. So it was a long dress, actually.
Oh, well, that's okay. I mean, that's okay. I mean, it covers up the legs and everything. It's fine.
Yeah, I'm just not a dress person at all.
Me either.
Yeah, I hope not.
Brent doesn't wear dresses, everyone. I'm just saying.
Yeah, thank God.
We'd have to call this show something else if he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't even know what to name something. No, yeah.
It's funny that all the things that flew in my head is like, no, I can't say that. I can't say that. You know, so like you have to apply this active filter for these shows.
You gotta put on the filter.
Yeah.
There
That's
you go.
why we're excellent in prose and innuendos.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. MK Ultra says, I like a nice summer dress for the airflow. There you go.
Love it.
That's too funny.
You are making me cry. Stop it. Oh, here we go. I'm already crying. All right.
All right, time to get serious, Brandy.
Okay, here we go. Hi.
All right.
She can't do it. Look at her. She can't do it.
We're good. We're good. All right. Brent is our guest, so let's treat him like we don't know him and he's a real guest.
Hi, Brent. It's nice to meet you. I know we've never met, but hey.
So all my pleasure is mine.
So, Brent, seriously though, how long have you been doing your show?
I've been doing the Paranormal Portal since 2016. It started out as an internet radio show on a channel called Truth Frequency Radio, and I did that for a year, just as that as and doing 2 shows Friday and Saturday nights for 2 hours, and then I branched out in 2017 into YouTube. And that's when I started doing simultaneous, what do you call it? When I broadcasted live to both platforms for a long time. And then I think it was 2019 when I finally started doing the podcast, which is the audio program available on all the podcast platforms. And so, you know, the funny thing is, and we were talking a little bit about channel size and stuff. And I've been, like I mentioned, I've been doing YouTube since 2017. And for some reason, maybe this is that old statement, like I got a face for radio. Maybe that's why my podcast does so much better, because the audience for that has just been incredible. And it's literally done amazingly all over and in the charts and stuff, which is crazy. But then on my YouTube, it's like crickets, you know? So maybe wonder what that could be.
Yeah, well, see, Randy does our stuff on the podcast side of things. So, and he sends us, like what we do and stuff. So I'm not really up to date on that. I really personally, myself, I just follow the YouTube thing. Yeah.
And you guys have done exceptionally well with it. And the community of shows that you guys have as like this family, which now I'm very honored to be a part of. It's just really cool that, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's almost like a sitcom, from the 70s, where like there would be 5 other shows that kind of circled the one show.
Yeah.
Like All in the Family, and then the Jeffersons, and then all these other shows. That's like this circle that we have here. And it's really cool. It's this great community of wonderful people. So it's a lot of fun.
Agreed.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we do. We've had a lot of help though, getting to where we are. We've had a lot of good people help us, and along the way. So we didn't do it by ourselves. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
No,
Fair enough.
no. And then with all the people who watch and are in chat and, without them, of course, they help us out. They share us out. And I mean, you can't ask for a better bunch of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really amazing. And that's another thing that I'm extraordinarily grateful for is that the audience that I do have on my show, and we share a lot of people as well, like throughout all of our shows and my show. So many of us have this community of people that are they're this amazing backbone that really holds us up. And I don't know how I got fortunate enough to find some of these people, but honestly, they found me, and for whatever reason or another, they stuck around, and I couldn't be more grateful. Because you'll see on a lot of YouTube channels, there's these horrible chat communities that are just degrading and tearing each other apart and attacking the show, and it's like, my God, but I've never had that problem, and
yeah.
I don't know why.
You know what else I like about our circle, our people in chats, our friends, honestly, because that's what they've all become.
Right.
And you have the same, a lot of the same people as Brandy and I and Tex and BMR and Paul, all of us, is that our people are very friendly and outgoing and welcoming. And I have jumped in other people's chats and I'll say hi. Not one person will say hi back.
Yeah, crickets.
Everybody in all of our chats are very friendly and very welcoming. And I appreciate that. Those are my people that I want to be around,
Yeah.
That's the tribe.
Yep.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's like every episode, I feel like Sam from Cheers. It's like you turn on the lights and all these incredible group of people come around. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. So
right. Right. It's true.
You jump in, Brent. Hey.
How does it go where everyone knows your name? There you
go. That's it.
Yeah, I feel like Norm most of the time, but yeah.
That's true. It's all good though. And we definitely truly mean when we say that, for our friends there in chat and stuff. So how did you get into like doing the paranormal shows? Did you experience a bunch of stuff and you're like, hey, I need to talk about this, or what did you?
It was honestly, I never, I was, and this is a story I've told many times. So if you've heard me say this before from wherever I've been interviewed, but it couldn't be more true. It was like, I was one of those guys that never knew what I wanted to do in my life. And I've done a lot of different things. I've taught, I've, sold stuff. I've worked in factories. I've, educator, a whole bunch of things. And I was very proud of all of those things. I worked IT, and they were all rewarding in their own right, but it was like I still never felt like I knew where I wanted to be. And I knew people growing up that even from like a young age, like a stupid young age, they knew. And no kidding, throughout their life, they just went towards it and did it. And I was like, I always felt really awkward, like, God, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to be? And I never knew. But it was when I was working in marketing. I was part of a marketing department, and one of the guys who actually was the owner and creator of Truth Frequency Radio, he contracted to this company doing some code development and stuff, and he and I got to be friends. And it just hit me like a hammer one day, because I'd sit in my cubicle with my headphones on, listening to Sasquatch Chronicles, Dark Waters, any number of what is it? Perspectives, another show that I listened to, and I listened to these and I just really loved it. And then I was just like, I was talking to Chris one time, and it just hit me like a hammer. I want to do a show. Now I've always been the paranormal, like I've always been absolutely fascinated with all of this weird and wonderful stuff, because I think there's something incredible going on, and it's not just, hey, look where everything went weird and all that strange stuff happened. I think this stuff is maybe telling us we have a lot to learn, and there's this reality we're in is very dynamic and fluid, and we don't really understand it. But it was like, yeah, I want to do this show. And it was like, as soon as I said that, the name Paranormal Portal came out of my mouth. It was like, I wanted it to be called Paranormal Portal. I wanted it to be this. And God bless him. Chris was like, let's do it. So it was, that was it. And he set me aside a slot on his network, and I started it. And it's kind of funny. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you guys before, but I've certainly shared it before. But it was my first show, I was like, yeah, I can do this stuff. I know the paranormal. Come on, I've been looking at this stuff. I've been reading about it. I've been watching everything I could find on it. I can do a show. And so I had like pages and pages of material. And my first live show was going to be 2 hours. And I was like, I got so much stuff here. This is going to be great. And I'm waiting in the online backstage, and it says, what does it say? Off air. And I'm waiting, I'm ready to go. And I got all the equipment ready, and it went on air, and instantly my mouth went bone dry. And it was like I had deer in the headlights, and I panic read about 3 hours of material in like 20 minutes. I'm like, oh my God. And then we got to a commercial break, and the saving grace was that Chris, the owner of the station, was like, well, he called me on the break, says, well, how's it going? I was like, I'm in trouble. I've gone through everything I had prepared. He goes, what, do you want me to come on? I'm like, yes, please. So he came on and basically coasted me through hour number 2. And it was just that it was such a different experience between what I thought it would be and how prepared I thought I was to actually doing it. But it's been wonderful ever since, I mean, every show is a learning experience, but I just think it's incredible. But the other thing that really blew me away about this stuff is that I really thought I knew this stuff. I really thought I knew what all of this stuff was until you start diving into it and you realize how deep those holes go, how far and how strange it gets and how things just overlap between different phenomena. It's like, oh my God, what in the hell is going on here? So it's been an incredible experience, but I do finally know where I belong.
Yeah, I get that, because I can sit and talk about different things all day long, but man, when it comes to the ghost and Bigfoot and stuff, now I'll talk about that for days on end.
The non-believers get sick of us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure. My whole family gets sick of me talking about stuff. They all know I'm a freak.
Well, what's funny is that prior to doing this, like if I was ever in social circles, I'd never talk about this. Like, I'm personally voraciously interested in it, but I never put it out there. But now when I'm in social gatherings, if I'm at an airport, if I'm anywhere and I end up talking to somebody, I'll drop it. I'll be like, hey, you ever seen a ghost? Yeah. and people look at you, but it's surprising the amount of people that will go, this one time, this one thing happened, or if I'm meeting somebody that's an outdoorsman and they got the Bigfoot sticker on the truck, it's like, hey, you ever seen Bigfoot? You hear anything? Right. And then start opening up, and it's incredible how many people have experiences, but these are stories that would probably never ever be told if somebody didn't break that ice with them. So I think most people have experiences. Yeah,
I agree with you on that, because I'm to the point that like everybody knows what I do. Everybody knows about Rawlins and booze, and my work, my family, extended family, cousins, everybody. And so, I don't care what they say or think. I just have that attitude now. And, like on Facebook, for instance, I'm friends. I have a lot of old friends from high school that are on my Facebook. And so I've had several even reach out to me like, hey, I had this happen, or I had this happen. Like one girl I went to school with, she had a dog man encounter. She didn't even know what it was. I'm like, that was a freaking dog man. And then another girl I went to high school with, she had Pukwudgie encounter. Like, so, by doing this, people have reached out, and so it's been really cool, so I get what you're saying on that,
Yeah, because I think about that all the time, and the amount of stories that are out there, it's very impressive when you really start looking into it, how many encounter stories and how many witness reports there are in all of this varied phenomena. But you kind of still think, well, how many more are there? Yeah. But I just, it really boggles my imagination that, and it kind of breaks my heart too, that there's so many stories out there that'll never be told.
Yeah, it's so true. Like that girl that had the dogman encounter. So I've got a friend who a couple times a year, she'll have a big get together with all of us that went to high school at her house. So I always go to it, and reconnected with a lot of people. And the one girl, she was sitting there, she had been drinking. I will say that, because she told me she would never have said this sober in front of everybody. But she told me she's seen the biggest Great Dane that she ever saw out by the dumpster on 2 legs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I'm like, you seen a freaking dog man, girl.
Are you sure of the Great Dane?
Yeah.
But but that is interesting because when people don't know how to describe things,
Right.
they will pick from their brain the closest thing that they can connect it with. And it may be kind of close, but then it could be so far apart. But it's the only thing that they can wrap their head around and say, okay, this is what it reminded me of.
Right. Yep. And she had never heard of a dog man. So I talked to her about it. And then I come home and, I sent her, different like podcasts and stuff where people had encounters and, told her she was dang lucky because she was taking her trash out and then she seen it and turned around and it was late at night. It was like after midnight. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And she seen it and it scared her. She turned around, went back into her house. I said, it's probably a good thing you did go back into your house. So it was just it. But as you said, like people, they do reach out to you and, and I think it's really cool that they're comfortable enough talking to you about things like that.
Yeah. Because I think there's still a lot of stigma about this stuff. Like nobody wants to be that person. They don't want to be that guy or that woman.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, there's, weirdy over there by the water cooler. And it's like, I think everybody has a story. But they just need someone to bring it out of them. Like it's okay. Yeah. A lot of people don't think it's okay to discuss, but I think it's better now than it's ever been, right? Because
I agree.
There are all these platforms and media surrounding this phenomena, these varied phenomena. So at least they feel, I think probably a generation ago, that wasn't the case. They were just kind of in isolation and just had to carry this like a brick,
Yeah. And, it's funny because Brandy and I went to Townsend, Tennessee to the Bigfoot festival over there. And I had posted on Facebook, we went to the Bigfoot festival, blah, 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 blah. My own brother commented and he said, did you find them? So, honestly, Brandy and I had a picture taken with the Bigfoot in a restaurant. And I said, actually, yes, we did. And I sent that picture. So yes, we did find him.
Yeah. And the funniest thing is that we went to, a Bigfoot festival. And I'm telling you, the best takeaway I had from that was a story a lady told me about a ghost named Iris. And that story is going to stick with me forever. Yeah. Not a Bigfoot story, nothing like that. Yeah. Ghost. It was a ghost story. And I was like, really? And, and I would flat out ask people there, have you seen Bigfoot? Did you have an encounter? Did you? And I'm going to tell you, most of them said no. But they'll say, but I did have. And then next thing you know, they have a spirit encounter that come out. Right. And I'm like, well, right on. Okay. I'm on board. Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, I had this happen, but it wasn't a Bigfoot,
Yeah.
But it wasn't
a ghost. I seen a shadow, but it wasn't a ghost.
Are you sure? Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Well, I saw like a shadow or something, but and then I'm like, are you just shrugging that off? And you're not going to look into that, which a lot of people do. A lot of people see spirits and they don't even realize it. They just shrug it off. Oh, it's just the shadow of something. What was it a shadow of? Come on.
What is the other side of it? I know you've been doing this for a long time and you've had a lot of different people on your show. What is the one encounter that you heard that you were like, whoa, that's scary?
I get asked that question a lot. And honestly, I have trouble thinking of any one because I think, here's the thing for me personally, and then maybe I'm an idiot and that's okay. But, I think all of these encounters are amazing. Like we kind of have this Hollywood idea about the paranormal. Like it has to be poltergeist. You gotta have crap flowing around and doors shutting and, and all kinds of strangeness like that. But I find it fascinating when somebody sees a shadowy apparition in a hallway just quickly.
Right.
Even a one-off experience, but there's obviously been many, but it's just always tough for me to go, well, which one? And any of them, even my own experiences, they blow me away. I think it's incredible. And that sounds like a cop-out, and maybe it is, but I'm honestly not trying to be evasive. It's just they're all so amazing to me.
No, I get it. Totally get it. Yeah. I mean, we've had a few people on here that are, had some pretty horrifying encounters, and not necessarily just on here, just people we know. And I'm like, man, I couldn't imagine, going through and living through what you did, You know, just some scary stuff out there. You know, in our woods too.
Yeah. I think the most terrifying stories that I hear about are the crawlers. Because I don't know what I can't wrap my head around them. You know, that I don't know where to put them in a category except all their own. So I mean, when somebody tells me about a crawler story, I'm like, oh, okay.
Ooh, yeah, I'm with you. Those are a weird one. And you know, I do think, you know, a lot of people say, well, don't trust anything you see on the internet. And I think that's largely the case. Like there's a lot of crap out there, but sometimes I'll watch something and it hits me a different way. And there was this one video that this guy put out, and it was where he I guess he had been experiencing something outside of his house for weeks, and it would just kind of show up, and he had this horrible feeling. And so what he did was, this one time he was like on a 3-season porch, and he kind of set his iPad up with the camera pointing out of a screen window. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with this video, but then this white figure, it kind of emerges from the darkness, and it's kind of doing like this and coming up like that, and it never quite it never is quite like right up in front, but it's out there hovering in the darkness, kind of coming in and looking around, just creepy as hell. And I'm getting chills just talking about it, right? There was something on a like a primal level, like on a real base level with me that went, no, this is not good. This is not good.
Right.
Why? I don't know. Cause I watched thousands of videos, but something about that video specifically, and many others like it. Like, I think there is very real videos out there and very real evidence, but there's so much crap, it's hard to find. But I always, and maybe it's my own hang up, maybe it's my own stuff, I don't know, but something about that video specifically, when I saw it, I was just like, no. And the guy in the background was like, he's calling his minister, he's like, it's here again, I got it, I'm actually recording it, and it can't see me, but it's out there, I can see it. And as he's doing this thing's kind of coming up and like out of the darkness, and it's like, oh God, I just get the willies. But there was something about that video that hit me in a way that I just wasn't used to, because usually I'm like, oh yeah, I don't think that's real, and this is why, or God, that really might be real. But this one, I just felt gross. I felt like I wanted to turn it off. And so I don't know if that's a real barometer that I could use to measure that by, but it was a very different reaction for me. And I again, I don't know whatever happened after that and the rest of the story. Maybe some of you out there listening to this might know what I'm talking about, but it's creepy. And they start praying, him and his pastor on the speakerphone, because he's like, hey, he's out here, I can see it, it's coming closer. Oh my God, you know, and it's just so horrible, right? But I'm with you about those crawlers. There's something about them that is just really off for me.
Yeah. Well, if you ever run across that video again, send it to me, because I want to see that.
Yes, I'll go look for it. I'm going to take a note. Crawler video for Brandy. All right.
Yeah, it's a crawler video. Yeah, because, you know, I mean, if it freaks me out, guess what I want to do? I want to see more.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is the other part of it, though. It's like I want to know what the hell happened after that. Then, well, okay, that was an instant, and it might just be a fabrication. It might just be staged, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I don't know. I can't explain why I reacted so differently to that video, but I just use that as a personal barometer. Like, well, maybe that's actually real. Maybe that's what I'm seeing. And who knows what those things are or what our history with them is. But, ugh.
You know, I saw something weird here a couple months ago, and I come back and I told Brandy about it in a little town called Dutso, Missouri. And it was this thing, it was like on all fours next to a house. And it just kind of caught me, you know, made me double look at it. And it was it was at nighttime when I saw this thing. So funny thing, last weekend, we went to breakfast, Brandy and myself and our friend Terry and Miguel Ramirez. Or no, that was lunch. That was the day we went to lunch.
Yes.
Or dinner that night. And I drove them by it. So that was, and going by it, our friend Terry pointed, she's like, oh, there's something with that house. That's a creepy house. I'm like, that's it. That's
the one, yeah, because we were talking about, we were coming up on the house itself, and it sits kind of like when you drive, you have to kind of go around it. So there's kind of like a little bitty curve. So where she was explaining she saw this was when you're coming around the other side of the house in that curve. And if you blink, you'll miss that little, you know, that little alley right there.
Yeah.
And she said that's where it was. And I was like, oh no.
Well, and the thing is, though, the town is like, I don't know, there might be maybe 50 houses in this town. Not very big, super, super small. But the little town is cute. It's an old town. It's very clean. And the house is nice. I mean, it's a very nice house. It's not.
Yeah, I think it was like founded like in the 1830s. I think that's what it said. Yeah.
But it's a very, very nice house, a very clean house. They have flowers hanging. Yeah, but they also have something weird going on.
It's got a creep factor. I mean, it really does. I mean, something about it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It doesn't look like a haunted house or anything like that. It's just something about it. When you're pulling up to it, you're just like, ew.
Yeah. Terry, she's in chat. That house is creepy. That's pointed it out. She was in the car with us. So it was weird, and it was when I saw that thing, it was almost like a crawler, I guess you could say, because it was crouched down on all fours.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. They got some kind of creepy factor going on there, and
yeah. But I mean, it's was founded by Germans. Dutzow. I mean, you just got to take that name into consideration right there. Mm-hmm. And when we go to Emmaus Village, well, that's where they built that college and that school for the boys. And it was meant for German boys that were trying to acclimate themselves in American culture and with business sense and that sort of thing. So you got to take all this into consideration. And then what we're hearing there and then seeing what's in Dutzow is just kind of like, wow, it's all connected out there. Every bit of it.
Yeah. And that night we seen the skies were crazy weird too.
Oh.
Yeah. So if you could get an extra day or two, man, I'd love to take whoever could stay an extra day or two for the conference. I'd love to take you guys to Emmaus.
We were seeing lights in those skies that just didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
It was pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were packing up and leaving, Miguel, he was packing up his tent and stuff, and we heard 4 distinct tree knocks not far. I mean, they were loud, not far into the woods. And then he returned it, but we never got another reply. But they tree knocked before we did. I was helping him pack his stuff up.
Wow. Yikes.
So
sounds like a great area.
It is. Yeah. It's a fantastic area.
Yeah.
If you could ever get time to come and spend an extra couple days, we'd love to take you guys over there.
All you really need is one good night.
Good night.
One good night. That's all you need.
Doesn't disappoint for sure.
It's possible. I don't have to catch a flight, so I can be maybe a little more liberal with my time there. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about it between now and then. Just let me know.
Sure. Yeah. It's funny how there's just some areas that just seem, and I don't pretend to know why it is. Is it ley lines? Is it some sort of other phenomena? It's very crazy, but there's some areas that, you think of like Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. And then Tex has this Dogman Ranch that he's investigating down in Texas. And then certainly the area you guys are in, there's a bunch of stuff going on. And are you are you in the Ozarks or are you?
Brandy is. I'm a little north of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But you're in that region though, but that whole Ozark region is full of a lot of crazy history.
Yeah. And it goes all the way across the state.
Yeah.
It's not even in just one small area. It goes all the way across the state. And it's phenomenal, the things that you're hearing about what's happening here.
Right.
Have you ever heard of someone by the name of Lisa Martin?
I have not.
She's got Paranormal Science Lab is her Facebook site, but she also does Haunted Ozarks or something like that.
Yes. I want to say she had red hair.
Yes, yeah. And she does it with Josh Heston. Yeah, she's in your area. I bet you guys could probably, because she works with a lot of historical sites and does promotional things for them, but it's probably be neat if you guys, her name is Lisa Martin and his name is Josh Heston. He's in the area as well, I think, but they do the Haunted Ozarks, I think is their show. But Paranormal Science Lab is the Facebook page. Yeah, it'd be great if you guys connected. She's wonderful. I've interviewed her a few times through the years, but a wonderful person.
What was your Facebook? Paranormal what?
Paranormal Science Lab.
Okay, I'll look them up after the show.
Yeah, very cool people. Very
Yeah,
nice.
they used to do a lot of great YouTube shows on local haunted places, within Missouri. It's really a great show. It honestly is.
Cool.
Yeah, they're wonderful people.
I'll definitely be looking it up for sure. So
Well, it's neat that with the Ozarks there is such a history, and that's the only reason I know about it is because of her work and what I'd caught of that. But then talking to you guys as well, it's like, man, I don't know what's going on over there, but you guys have kind of got the whole Yahtzee card full.
we got a lot of weirdness, and we also have Marley Woods. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's I guess Missouri Skinwalker Ranch. They have everything there too. Including, and I think it's disgusting and it's sad, but spontaneous combustion.
Oh, wow. That's interesting because that was a phenomenon you'd hear about kind of regularly back in the 70s, 80s, but then it just never hear about it again. So is there still happening?
Yeah.
Oh,
very rare. Very rare.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess they were misidentifying the actual cause of some of this. They would call it, spontaneous combustion when there was actually another explanation. So they kind of died out on using that.
Mm-hmm. But I do know the Marley Woods incident. We were told by Thomas Fario, we've had him on a couple times. He studied that area extensively, and it was a horse that actually spontaneous combusted. And the homeowner had been in the barn, and then he went out of the barn, and I don't think there was any noises, nothing. He went back, and the horse literally, like, there was guts all over. And
oh God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
I mean, it's kind of gross, but I mean, and they couldn't find anything medically that would, explain what had happened.
Yeah, and you can be pretty sure it didn't fall asleep with a cigarette. So, I mean, you could chalk that up.
I could be fairly sure that didn't happen, and it wasn't building a fire in the barn or anything.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, that was certainly one of the debunkers, that trying to debunk that spontaneous combustion. Well, just a smoker fell asleep with a cigarette and managed to burn themselves at 1100 degrees Celsius and not anything else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's not going to burn you like that.
No.
You're not going to be incinerated.
Not normally. No.
Right. Yeah. So I just think, I don't know, that a lot of weirdness all around, I think, Missouri is one of many places, we've talked to a lot of people in northern Georgia, the Meadows you've heard about. We've had several on our show and have several friends that have been there. And, that's just as crazy as our Marley Woods. And I'm almost even going to put Emmaus in that category.
Wow.
Yeah. And the more I hear about the Meadows and how I would love to go investigate that, because they have some stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But with what they're coming up with physically, these physical ailments that they're getting, I don't think I want to put my life at risk to do it.
No. And same thing with Marley Woods. Several of them have come up with cancer and things like that from down there at Marley Woods. And same with, the Meadows there in Georgia. So honestly, I have no desire to go to Marley Woods. We know roughly about where it is. It's kind of in an undisclosed, they don't put it out there, but we know roughly where it is, and no desire to go myself.
Well, and Brent, that brings me back to the point is it sounds like there's many places that kind of fit the bill of what we're talking about. Yeah. And we know that ley lines move, but were these on a ley line of some sort together, and then it just kind of changed a little bit? What I don't exactly know how to explain it, but there, I guess that's what we're continually looking for, an answer to this phenomena. What's happening? Why are these things happening? And I don't know. Why are all these things culminating in one spot?
Right.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. I don't know. What do you have that's weird up there in your area? You're in Idaho?
Yeah, I'm actually up here. There's a lot of UFO up here. Of course, I'm in the north tip of Idaho. So I'm like
Oh,
literally
you're way up there. Sure.
yeah, next to Canada. So it's beautiful, rugged mountain area, but there's lots of weirdness up here. I think the local tribe, the Shoshone or one of the Nez Perce, they would call this place, and like the native tribes would never stay all year here because I think they had a name for it, and I forget what the name is or what it directly translates to, but it's something like land of the wet death or something like that.
What?
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy, but like there's crazy spirit activity up here. There's lots of UFO encounters and sightings. This is where I saw the very first UFO I'd ever experienced was here. Up here, it was when I was remotely working, but I came up here for a conference, or not a conference, but some negotiation stuff with contracts and advertising. Is when I was working advertising before I actually moved up here. But this is where I had that. I've investigated. There's lots of Bigfoot claims, and not as many as you'd think. But then again, there's not as much population density up here either. There's not like people, thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Right.
Like you'll get in a car up here and drive, 10 minutes out of town, and it's like you're in the untouched wilderness. I mean, there's so much area between, but there are quite a few experiences with Bigfoot up here. I've investigated one myself, and it's some pretty crazy stuff. I don't know if, let me see. I don't know. I've heard claims of dog man stuff up here, but only from one person. So I don't know if I can substantiate that or not. But yeah, I mean, everything, it seems like there's a lot of stuff up here, but it's again, it's a strange area. In fact, the house that I lived in when I moved in, and that's the house I'm still in here with my studio, but we had strange stuff happening here like crazy. And I was like, wow, what's going on? This is really a bizarre house. And some of it was getting dark, and I had to continue to cleanse and try to mitigate that as much as I could. But I was doing the shows, and I actually got to know the neighbor. The neighbor lady is this elderly lady, wonderful woman, and her daughter is an adult, and she was living in Portland, but happened to be out visiting, and I got to talking with her, and she's a witch, and so I was like, would you like to come on the show? Let's talk about that. And she's like, yeah, I will. And we were sitting here in the studio prior to going live, and she goes, well, how do you like living here? I'm like, I said, it's an interesting house. I said, there's some weird stuff going on here. You know what happened here, don't you? And that's how it started. I was like,
well, what happened? Brent, don't leave us hanging. What happened?
Well, we've had a lot of strange things. Sometimes doors opening, closing. Sometimes strange activity, like my pets are freaking out for no reason, et cetera, et cetera. And I could go into a whole catalog of what weird stuff has happened with electronics and such. But she said, well, when I was in high school, and she grew up in the house next door. She said, when I was in high school, there was a younger kid that lived in this house, and she wasn't friends with him, but was familiar with the fact that he was here. But I guess he's like a 14-year-old kid that for some reason fell into a real deep depression, and he ended up eating a 12 gauge upstairs in this house. So,
oh man.
So I was like, oh, that wasn't on the listing.
Right.
So, but I'll tell you, it did change the nature of it for me, because when you're dealing with an absolute unknown, you just don't know. And, but it changed my ability to look at it with more compassion, well, this is probably someone that's in this perpetual state of pain, and they're just lashing out because they're just in this empty, hollow place. So I was able to, deal with that and try to, at least understand and even to communicate and say, I'm sorry that this was your experience, but here's the thing, and this is now my house, and this is the way it's got to be. And it got so much more peaceful following that. But it's funny how those moments of tragedy, the one thing I don't know, and this is the part that still makes me wonder, because some of the stuff was getting real dark. And I was like, well, what if something was real dark for him here too, and actually brought him to that place, So something that I'm honestly always cognizant of, and always trying to tune the environment, cleanse, and keep it light, and handle that. But yeah, it's kind of a wild place up here.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that, because I mean, you hear about people passing away under tragic circumstances, but it's a few moments, and you have all of that energy going into the house.
Yes.
And and things could come from that. But what if somebody who is depressed and is just continually leaking that depression into the house, then till that final tragic moment? I mean, it
leaves like a stain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's like it seems like you just can't wash it out.
Mm-hmm.
No.
You have to be totally vigilant, like you're doing, Brent, and keep cleansing and because it never completely goes away.
Right. Yep, exactly. And I think that we do very, very much imprint on our surroundings. All of us do. And it's like you'll go to some place and feel like, oh, this is a great place. And you kind of think, well, maybe there's a bunch of great memories, or a bunch of loving people have been here, and they had these amazing, really wonderful, warm experiences. But then you go to other places like, ooh, I don't like this place. This is just not a good place. And I'm not saying it's exclusively the case, but I think those energies attract the same kind of energies. Like if you're in a place of love and you're having this warmth and caring and stuff, I think that resonates and brings in more of that, and it multiplies and creates a home and just a very peaceful place. But likewise, if you're in a place where, like you were saying, dripping depression probably draws in some other dark things, and then you get a snowball in the opposite effect. So, but I think that we do imprint on ourselves, and I'm not trying to speak to anybody's or suggest spirituality to anybody, but I would say that it's important to cleanse where you live. And by cleansing, I don't mean you've got to run around with, sage and enchanting and stuff. You can do it with prayer. You can do it with, holy water, with any kind of medium that resonates with your spirituality. But I think it's important to retune your environment, especially if you're going through a time of strife. If you find that coming out of that, get rid of that old energy, get rid of it, get it out, clean out your area. It's like spring cleaning in an energetic way, because I think that it's very probable that, when you have an area that's experienced lots of trauma, it's going to draw in the dark, low vibrating energies that like that,
Yeah.
Well, I do have a PSA for everyone out there. If something ever happens to me and you buy my house, it's haunted. I'm just telling you that now. You don't need to go look into history. You don't need to know nothing. It's haunted. I brought it here. Congratulations.
I brought it here and it's staying.
Right. Because if something happens to me, I won't be able to take them with me, everyone. They're just going to stay here, and I might stay here with them. So, hi.
Well, I'd at least try to help you cross over, at least, Brandy.
No, you'd be like, hey, Brandy, come on, get in the car. Let's go to my house.
Pretty much.
Sure. But I think we are energetic beings,
Right.
Right.
So how long have you lived at your house, Brent?
About a decade now. Been here about 10 years. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you're kind of used to everything, and
yeah, I'm used to the house, and maybe the house is used to us as well. I think there's both, because if you ever like when you hear stories of hauntings, there's always that honeymoon phase, right? Where it's like, oh, moved in, it was great, everything was wonderful till about, and then one day,
right,
and then it's like, and that's when it goes south. But I think that there's like I'm sure we do resonate and tune the environment to us, but I think there's also some energies, as you were suggesting, you can't cleanse, but you can find balance with.
Yes.
And so I think that that's where you get to after a time. It's like, well, I know that there's still weird stuff happening and still going to happen in this house. And that's kind of the nature of it. I mean, I've lived in many haunted houses, so it doesn't really bother me. And my wife and child seem to handle it okay. So
that matters.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing good. We're doing fine. And so some people would be like, hey, I don't know, they got to get out. They're not paying rent,
Yeah.
And so that's fine. And I'm all for that. There's certainly that way of looking at it too. Like their time is up. They should be getting gone. And sure, I mean, you're welcome to do that. But again, I'm fascinated by this stuff, and I'm not, I don't know, it probably sounds stupid to some people, but I'm not opposed to living around it. You know, to me, it's fascinating.
Same.
I've gotten some of the best investigative footage right here in the studio doing it live on my streams.
Yes.
We've got some good stuff. I got some good stuff just hanging out in the house, laying in the bed, and all the stuff starts happening, which I caught it on video. You know, so I got lucky with that. And I mean, does it scare me? Oh, a little. A little. You know, because you're like, how far is this willing to go? You just never know. Is this going to progress into something that I can't handle, or I can't live with, or I can't, coexist with? Is this what's going to happen? So far, I've been lucky, but you just never know what's going to happen, though.
Yeah, you're right. I do think it'll go as far as you let it. To me, it's my experience, and I'm not saying I'm one of those people. Oh, listen to me. I know. I don't pretend I know, but that's my belief. It's like, I think, and this is a weird conundrum to me, and I don't really understand it, but I've come to believe, at least in some part, that there's rules. There's rules to this. And it's like whenever a spirit comes in, or if it's always here, it's like they need your permission. And and I think some permission is expressed, and it is obvious. And that is like, for instance, you notice weird stuff happen in your home. So you whip out the recorder and you try to get EVPs. Well, you're giving it an express permission to communicate, to interact. Now there's also an implied permission, and that is when they can make you afraid, because I think fear is a surrender. I think you're surrendering when you allow fear to overcome you and feel like you're disempowered, that it's an implied permission. But for some reason, they need some form of our acquiescence in order to perpetuate and increase the intensity of what they're doing. Yeah. And I don't understand that. I mean, it's like, is there a council that handles this? Or is there ghost cops that make sure they're in line? I don't know, but I don't understand it, but it does seem to rely on us giving them some form of permission. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely does. I also think too, like, not all activity are ghosts. I think, for instance, so on a personal note, my cousin committed suicide February 10th of this year. And, we were close. He was like a brother to me, more than a cousin. And, he was one that knew about all my weird stuff, but he wanted no part of it, And it's kind of funny now because two things have happened in my house. So my daughter had a bunch of girls spend the night for her birthday, and this was back in March. And the one girl brought her a brand new bag of candy and never been opened, the whole 9 yards. So the girls actually opened it. Two of them, Ava and her friend, opened the bag, and they got some candy out. So then fast forward a couple hours later, which is really weird because her other friend, who, it's a weird story, but she goes to school with my cousin's great niece is who it would be. So Lacey had asked Ava, she said, "Can I have some of your candy?" Ava said yes. So Lacey went to find the hole that they had just opened this bag of candy 2 hours previously. There was no hole. Like, the bag had never been opened. So Ava made this video. I'll have to send it to you. She's like, "Guys, this is weird." And they showed me this video. I'm like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" I was sleeping. It was sometime in the middle of the night. But they were all freaking out because this bag of candy, two of the girls ate out of that bag of candy. Wow. Only bag of candy. But then fast forward a couple hours.
And it was closed up like it was never opened.
Like it was never opened.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then here, this has only been a couple weeks ago. So I came in, I had went to Walmart before I come home. And I came in, I had a bunch of groceries on my arms, come in through my front door, come through my living room, come to my kitchen, throw stuff down, turn around to go back out my door, and my deadbolt's locked.
Wow.
I didn't do that. So I know. And he's the first person that I think of, like, because it's only been since he's passed away. And he was that kind of person. He would do this stuff. He would do that to Ava, and he would do that to me. you know. So that's my point being, I don't think they're all ghosts because I don't believe he's a ghost. I believe he's crossed over. I think he's just coming back to give me shit, honestly. You know?
Yeah.
Be like, hey, okay, so you were right type thing, you know.
Yep.
Right?
What I can do. Yeah.
You know, I believe that you're absolutely right. My dad made himself very known. He didn't have any time for this stuff at all. In fact, when he was dying of COPD, I went home and visited with him, and I just had a frank talk with him. Like, Dad, are you scared? No, I'm not at all scared. And I'm like, oh, okay. They said, well, I just think we go to someplace better. I'm like, well, good. You know, I was glad he was in that headspace and wasn't dealing with this terrifying fear, because he was never a spiritual man. He was just this stoic rock of a person that I, had in my life, all the time. But the one thing about my dad is he couldn't operate a remote to save his life, and my mom had very different televisions, because my mom was all into true crime and all this other stuff, and Dad was into Walker, Texas Ranger, and Gunsmoke. That was that was my dad's thing.
Hey, I like them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not putting any of them down, but they were just definitely two very, very distinct.
Oh, yeah. I get what you're saying.
But anytime my dad wanted to change his TV, because my dad's TV was on this 4-season porch, and my mom's TV was in the traditional living room, which is, not huge, far apart. Well, my dad would be like, so I want to change the channel. And so he'd have to get up and, of course, come in and handle his remote. And nothing really weird had ever happened at this house. It was very, almost minus activity. It was just a very plain, ordinary home with almost nothing supernatural throughout all my childhood. But suddenly after he passed, his TV starts popping on, and then it'll start changing channels. My mom's TV started popping on and changing channels, and lights on and off and stuff. And it was there was many reasons to determine that it was him, but it was just his timing, and it was just like, I'm here, I'm here, and I can use the remote now.
Right.
But it was crazy that I guess it was his way of communicating in some way, and I think he stuck around for quite a while, but eventually it just kind of faded out, quit happening.
And that's why I don't think like my cousin is stuck here or your dad. I think it's, just coming back and like, hey, I just think it's my cousin coming back giving me a hard time because he knew I was into all this stuff all the time. He's like, oh, I don't mess with your ghost SHIT stuff, and, stuff like that. Yeah. He would, and actually he used to ride horses, and he made a video out there. Hey, Bigfoot. I mean, just like stupid shit. And he would send this stuff to me, making fun, mocking me, but now he knows the truth.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's what it was.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Right.
We're all going to find out one day.
Yep. Acknowledging that, that, hey, you were right. And same thing with your dad,
Yeah. But it was, and that's exactly right. I think, wow, well, I guess he knows now it wasn't just a bunch of hooey, and, there's more to the picture, and he can use a remote. So,
yeah. Well, I talked about my nephew several times on the show, but I haven't had any activity that I would relate to things that he would do when he was alive. So I think that, again, it was another instance where he pops in.
Right.
He's here for a little bit, and then he pops right back out. Right. But, Brent, when you were talking about setting boundaries and things like that, we've talked about it the last 2 days in the 2 shows on Bonds and Booze, but I came home from Emmaus Asylum, and I had the Whistler Man with me. I heard him twice distinctively in my house, once in my bedroom, once in my office while I was live streaming. And I went to Emmaus with Krista this last weekend, and I told it, hey, get in the car. You're going back to where you came from. So when I went back, I walked down to the other building where it normally was. And I'm like, here you go. Now you got to stay. I'm leaving. You can't come with me. So we didn't hear it all weekend. We were in and out of that building, didn't hear it. The last day, we went down there to look at a door that had been shut, and we couldn't get it open, so we were trying to work with it. And another lady that was with me, we both heard it. We both heard it with them.
So he was back.
He was back. Yeah, because Krista, the weekend before that, was telling everybody, hey, listen for the whistle, and nobody heard it. It was at my house.
We had an event, and so I was sending people down there, And I told them, like audible, whistles, you can hear them, just pay attention, and it's not even real low, like you really got to listen. I mean, it's just listen to it. And they would come back, and nobody heard it. And I told Brandy, I said, nobody heard it, man. I asked everybody that I sent down there.
So I took it. I took it with me, unknowing. I took it with me, but then I said, okay, no, no. I already got enough going on. You got to go back.
So he went back because he's back there now. So
he's back there now.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think too, like, you can, like, with the one that's at your house and stuff, you can make agreements with them.
Oh, yeah.
Coexist. Like Brandy's like, hey, you're going back. So it listened,
I think that's a huge thing. Claiming your space is a very powerful tool.
Exactly.
Like, you can say, hey, you want to be here, that's fine, but here's the rules. And don't scare me, don't mess with my kids, don't mess with my wife and family, don't mess with my electronics. If you're here in love and
peace, out of my bathroom.
Something about somebody whistling at you in your bedroom just kind of gives you that uneasy feeling. You're like, no, no.
Depends on the context. Depends on the context.
Yeah. So, and I think like with you, you're not afraid of it. And you said your son and your wife, are okay with it. So I think honestly too, that helps where it's not feeding into it. You know what I'm saying? You guys aren't feeding it, so it's not picking up. I think if somebody was showing fear, then it might progress.
Yeah, they're going to get bored with you. They're like, gosh, they don't want to talk to me. They don't want to do nothing. I'm tired of watching them. I'm out of here.
Right.
It wasn't that long ago I was scratched, sitting right here. And for the first time ever, I'd never been scratched before. And I was always like, I've heard people explain it. Like, it feels like this burning sensation. And then suddenly you got these raised welts. And I never really knew what to do with it, but I was doing 2 back-to-back interviews for my podcast on a Monday. And I just got done interviewing Tommy Cullum of the Let's Get Freaky podcast. And he and I were chatting, and we ended up talking a little bit about the house here. And he was telling me about his house and some of the weirdness that's going on. And I was sitting here and I was like, God, Tommy, it felt like ice cold next to me all of a sudden. And I said, I think something's here. And then the next thing was I felt this warm sensation on my neck, and I reached my hand up and I felt, and there was a welt going on from behind my head all the way down to my jawbone. I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really weird. And it didn't feel like anything. But then I got done with Tommy and I went and talked to my wife and said, what's going on here? What is this? She goes, oh. And then she grabbed my collar. She go, oh. And then she pulled down my collar. I had scratches all over my neck.
Did you get pictures?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Awesome. I posted them on my Facebook. It was kind of
I can look. I guess I missed them.
Yeah, no. And I honest to God, my reaction as soon as she said, oh, wow, you got scratches all over your neck, because I started laughing. I did. That's, and I don't know if something's broken in me or what, but I just thought it was hilarious. It's like, oh, that's what it feels like. And no kidding. Then after that, I was sitting down here back in the studio because I had another interview to go. Excuse me. And, then I started to feel like burning, the burning sensation part finally started. And it was like somebody had taken a string and was just going back and forth on my neck in several locations. And I understood then what that burning felt like. I was like, yeah, that really does feel like little rope burns. Yeah.
So my thought on like scratches and things like that, because I too have been scratched. So I get that burning sensation. Yeah. But, some of me thinks that maybe they're not all negative. Maybe it's not meaning to hurt you. Maybe it's just trying to get your attention. Like, hey, Brent, I'm here. Acknowledge me, type thing. Yeah.
Or it was maybe something, the way that I explained the story of it, maybe was disrespectful. I mean, I thought about all those things, and honestly, I wasn't like, it scratched me. I was like, oh, you bastard, you got me. Okay, now I know what that feels like. Right. And I didn't freak me out. It was actually, I was actually. And it's probably stupid. Again, it's like something's wrong with me, but I just thought that was kind of cool. It's like, oh, that's what that's like.
Yeah. Something that was interesting to me is I was investigating a building with another lady, and she was sitting down, and she all of a sudden started complaining about a burning sensation on her face. And she's like, I'm not touching it, but it feels like it's burning. She goes, can you see a scratch or anything? And I'm like, it looks red. It's getting redder, but it does not look like a scratch. And she put her hand to her face and she said it felt ice cold, as if something touched her face. Like if you put an ice cube to your face, how you'd feel that burning sensation at first. And she said that's what it felt like. So I'm with Krista on this. I don't think some of it is not malicious. I think it's just that that's their way of trying to get your attention, and they accidentally perhaps maybe scratch you or hurt you in some way, and they're not meaning to.
Right.
Yeah.
I got the link to it. So I'll put it in the private. Is there a private? No, I guess there isn't. Should I just put it in
Can you do
Facebook message?
Share your screen?
Oh yeah, I guess I could. Let me pull it over here first. Oh, this technology.
He's a misfit toy and won't even put this stuff up there. I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah, well, I'm full idiot sometimes.
You me both.
Here we go.
We all have our moments. We all have them.
I said I worked IT. You'd never believe that, would you? Okay, here we go. Share screen. I don't do this a whole lot on here. So
we've got to get him up on the IT. We got to get him cracking on this so he can just have it there in a second.
There it is right there. So now then we hit add to stage.
Yeah, and the one you can't see is the one up where
wow.
Holding my necklace.
Damn, you got all checked up.
Yeah, you got me a few times. Yeah.
Is there a way you can zoom in? Do you have that capability?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, as far as Facebook will allow me.
There you go. That's good.
Wow.
Yeah. And people were looking at it like trying to discern meaning, like, because it almost looks like Roman numerals, and some people thought it was letters. And
I think it's just scratches.
I think it is too. I mean, it looks like a W to me.
Yeah.
But I think it's just scratches. That is wild.
Yeah.
I was just sitting here in the studio. So, yeah. But yeah, the long one you can't see because that's up where my hand is up on top, which I can't really show you, but that would be up here. Wow. So yeah, that was my scratches.
Dang. So next time you need to say, hey, keep damn hands off of me.
I know it sounds dumb, and maybe, you're probably right. I should have probably aggressively addressed it. But I just thought it was cool. I was like, oh, now I get it. Okay. That's a scratch. I don't know. Yeah.
It's like, look, can you get I do have a scratch. It's like in the middle of my back where I can't reach. Can you get that?
Yeah.
Don't scratch me on my neck, and it's right there in the back.
The funny thing is when I put it up there on there, and God bless them, because I think people just try to help you come to conclusions. Like, the first feedback from somebody was like, could it have been your cat? It's like,
I mean, you would have felt your cat there on you.
Yeah. I know. I said, well, no, my cats don't do that. And if they did that, that wouldn't be my cat anymore. And climbing my neck.
Those are kind of aggravated scratches there. They look like they were kind of deep and they hurt.
Yeah.
It was a little uncomfortable, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't really painful. It was just like, oh, that's what that is. Okay, now I know.
Yep. I get that. My scary thing is, and I know this was both times were vengeful and it was meant to be negative, and that's when I was choked. It's happened 2 different times in 2 different locations, and that I could feel like hands on my neck, and both of those were like negative, and that was definitely, I had no doubt. That's scary because you really can't and there's nothing there. Like you can't, pull it away, or if a person's choking you, a living person, you could you know what I'm saying, but there's nothing
grab
to fight.
Fingers.
Yeah. And the weird part about all that is that same location that happened to her, I had went in at a different time. It wasn't, I don't even think it was in the same year that this happened. And I went to that same location, went into that same area of that building, and I got physically ill.
Oh, definitely something dark there. Yeah.
There's definitely something negative there.
I had to leave the building. Yes.
Yeah. So after that, I actually, for a long time, I didn't go back into that building. The first time that this happened, it was, we were holding a public event with my old paranormal team. And fortunately, I had one of the guys was there with me, and he helped me get out of the building and got me down the stairs and out the door. And I'm thankful he was there because honestly, he really did. Because like I was just freaking out. I didn't know, what do you do? You're choking. You want to get away from it, but like there's a whole flight of steps, and he helped me get out. And yeah, that was. But I stayed away from that building. I didn't go in it probably 3 years, and then a mutual friend. Who's psychic medium, he's like, I got your back. He said, you need to face your fears. You need to go back in there. Mm-hmm. And I did. I went back in it, and nothing happened that next time.
Yeah. And then Chris and I had gone back there for an event or something, but her and I stayed at a different location, had fun all night long. And it's like everybody had moved on to different locations within this community because there's different buildings that you can walk to all over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we were there, and nobody was in the building that her and I were in. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to go use the bathroom. So I went to go to the bathroom, and then I hear this man's voice go, hey. I said, well, not today.
Not now.
Get out of the bathroom.
That's what it says. Nope. No. Thanks, but no thanks.
So
I think I held it for the rest of the night. I think I drove down to the convenience store.
I'll use the other one. Yeah. Now let me ask you a question. You had mentioned you felt sick, and I'm wondering. This is just a question that popped into my mind now because I've certainly felt that. And do you think is that some intuitive or protective mechanism of our own, or could that be the influence of a negative spirit making you feel that way? Or is it both or all of the above? What do you guys think?
I wish I knew.
Okay.
I wish I knew.
I think, honestly, it's our body's own defense,
okay.
And then wanting us to get out of there because, like, once a lot of people get out of that situation, they feel better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. It could be your body saying, hey, look, there's something nasty in here. You need to get out, and this is the way,
it's our spirit guides. That's the way they, like, hey, you're in trouble here. You're in danger. Get out. I don't know.
Or it could be something that is what Chris and I would call a nasty spirit, not demonic, but just a nasty spirit, something really, I don't even know how to describe it. They're just nasty. Anyway, it could be just them overwhelming you with their own vibration, frequency, whatever. It could be that too.
Right.
Absolutely.
Now, I was just curious because I like the idea that it's our mechanism, but it just occurred to me. It's like, well, is that the first form of spiritual attack? Is that's the first part?
Yeah, they could very well be.
Yeah. But I guess it's either way. It's both because it's our sensing it, and we go, nope, I don't want this, or whatever. So okay.
I think everybody's body reacts differently. So I even know someone who gets chest pains like he's having a heart attack.
Yeah,
that's scary.
See, I've only had that physical feeling, I think, twice my whole entire life. Where I felt ill. Yeah. So that was very strange for me. So that was just something, that was just, it may have been my body saying, hey, you need to get out of here. This is not a good place for you to be.
I think it could be just our bodies because, when a ghost is in a room, my body might react differently than Brent's or than Brandy's, like sometimes people just get a big itch. Sometimes they get goosebumps. Who knows? Everybody's body reacts differently. So,
yeah. Now I have had where like it seems like I've developed a case of vertigo.
Oh,
like
sure.
your equilibrium's off. Like something is just not, the mojo in the room is not a good thing, and it's just like you've got to get out of there. I hadn't felt sick with that, but it just makes you feel like you're kind of dizzy, like you're gonna fall. It's very strange. And I think that's my body telling me, hey, this is not really, a place you should be.
Yeah. Oh, that's great feedback. Thanks. I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's the thing that keeps coming up for me in all of this is that I just find out no matter how much I think I might know, there's just so many more questions. It's like, well, what about this then?
Yeah. And we have no answers.
Sure.
We only have experiences. We can only tell everybody what has happened to us. You take what you need to take from it, and that's it. I mean, we give our opinions on things we like to do or not to do, but really, there's no answer out there.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like what works best for you.
Right.
Yep.
I would agree. Do you get to get out in the woods very often, or seen anything weird out there?
It was up here. Up here is the first time that I did any kind of Bigfoot investigating. First of all, back in the day when Don was part of the show, who's, if you're not familiar, a friend of mine, his name's Don. He was co-host on several shows for years, but then he but he did a lot of production on the podcast end of things for me. And he got contacted by a person up here who had a property, and they had gotten, like, I think they had 29 chickens at one point, and they built this hen house, or basically a chicken enclosure in their backyard. And but they started noticing that they had less and less chickens. They were like, "What the hell's going on? That's weird." It's not like if a chicken is attacked by like an owl or a hawk or any raccoon or whatever, they blow feathers. There's this explosion of feathers, and there's a problem. And it's like, oh, well, I guess something got into our chickens. But these things were just disappearing, like they were falling into a hole somewhere. And it's like, what's going on? So what is happening is the homeowners were kind of just out in the woods. They lived very rurally. It's about 15 minutes out of town. And they lived up in an area where there's like no kids around at all. It's all these older people, old farmsteads and stuff. So it's way out and right on the edge of a forest going up to a mountain. And they were out and back in the woods, butting right up to their property. And where the hen house was, so the house is here. Right behind that was this hen house within like 20 yards of the house. And then about 25 yards or 30 yards past that was basically the weeds in the woods where it all started. So they were out and back in the wooded area looking for like mushrooms, wild mushrooms and stuff. And they stumbled on to this weird structure. And they're like, what the hell is this? And it basically what it was there was like a sapling, some kind of, and I don't know my trees very well at all. So I'm not going to be real descriptive here, but it was some kind of sapling that was bent over, and it was about a 4 to 6 inch sapling that was bent over into an arc. But then somebody had gone and broken all of the branches about 30 feet up on this huge conifer tree, and all of those branches were kind of woven into this arched structure. I'm going to pull it up because I have it on my Instagram, some images of this, and it's freaking crazy. But it's going to take me just a second. I'll share my screen. But we went up and checked it out, and sure enough, I mean, it was almost invisible. If they hadn't stumbled onto it, nobody would have ever seen this structure. It was so well hidden, but there wasn't a cut edge on any of these branches that were torn off of that tree 30 feet up. There was not one cut, and they were all snapped. And every one of them was positioned in such a way that the leafy part was down and the broken part was up, which is, if it came off of a tree, the conifer part that with all the needles would have caught air and it went down like a spear.
Right.
So that didn't make any sense, but I'm putting it up here and we'll walk through these images together. But it created like this hut structure, and it was about 6 feet tall on the inside. And this was, obviously all the trees by this time had started to lose their cover, but let me pull it back up so I can share my screen. I got 50 windows open. So
25 windows open.
It's actually there. It's still being shared, Krista.
I think you have control, can't you? Can you?
Yeah, I guess I can add it. So this is what looked like an entryway. Like this is, and look at this. It's like a rudimentary weaving.
Like it's woven.
Right. And there's more pictures to this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, not that. Hold on. I got to go into this one. But this is a side picture, and you can see how they kind of go in and out in like a rudimentary weaving, but it's like a dome-like structure. And this is towards the fall, so all the foliage had been falling off of these vines and other things that were in there as well. But it was like this weird little hut. And I was like, oh my God. And so we went and checked it out, and we looked around in the area. And there was one footprint we found, but it was on a really steep incline, about a 45-degree incline heading up the mountain, but it was about a 17-inch print. And I'll show you that in a minute. That's coming up here. These are different images of this, but I mean, it looks like a dome. It was the craziest
I
thing.
think that's like maybe a nesting area, a bed
Right.
for something.
This thing was about 45 yards or 50 yards away from that hen house. Like they could go in there and watch. And when nobody was there, and what they found on the back of the hen house then was a tear. And it was about the size, about like an 8-inch tear in their shed. Like it could reach in, grab a chicken, and then go. And it was crazy. I don't seem to have the picture of the footprint here, unfortunately, but this is the images.
That's really cool, though.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they build them like that, so it's like another form of camouflage where they can just sit there.
Oh, yes,
and just watch,
like a blind, like a hunter might make a blind.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
There's a lot more images that I have of that, but that's the most ready example that I can pull up for you guys.
That's a great place to sleep. Their food's right there.
I know. All they got to do is just sit in there. It's like you can't even see me. I'm sitting in plain sight, but you can't see me. But I can see everything I need to see. Yeah. I'm going to wait for you to walk away, and then I'm going to go have me some chicken.
Yep. And the interesting thing is once we found it, once our smell was on it, the thing just degraded into nothing after that. It was like they may have been using it actively, but as soon as we found it and we had been traipsing all over it, they didn't touch it again.
We're done.
Never.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, it makes sense. It makes sense. It's something foreign into that. So it's like, okay, we've been found out, so we can't stay there anymore.
Right.
Yep. Right.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible find. Good job there, man.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was just cool to be notified and to go check it out. But I can't take any credit for it other than I went and actually saw it. So.
Yeah, that's
cool. I mean, as in structures, when people talk about tree structures, that's probably one of the best pictures I've seen of one.
Yeah, actually, yours reminds me of Brandy. If you remember, we had Rod Nichols on the show.
Yes,
his were just like yours too.
Yes.
So, and he's out of Texas, and so I really believe that's what you come across there. That's awesome.
It's a Bigfoot blind.
What do you guys think about? Do you think Bigfoot and Dogman and these creatures can cloak?
That's a tough one. I certainly have talked to enough people that claim they've seen it, and I don't like have enough arrogance to think that I can sit and go, no, they don't, because I've never witnessed it. I just don't understand it. And that's the hard part for me. It's like, whenever I'm talking about this stuff or listening to people's stories of it, I try to, it's just my nature, but I try to just walk through, okay, what's going on here? What is this all about? But I don't understand the whole multidimensional cloaking thing. And again, please, I'm not saying it's not possible.
Right.
I'm just saying I don't know what to do with that here. I don't know how to process it. And so it's this big question mark. But is it possible? I mean, my vote is it must be, because I've talked to enough people that have seen it. I just don't understand it.
Right. Brandy, what do you think?
For me, I'm like you, Brent. I can't process that. And we talked about what people pull from their mind when they see something happen. They pick the closest thing that resembles and go with it because they have no other explanation. But my thing is I think they have a great sense of camouflage. Like they're wearing a ghillie suit, for goodness sakes. Yeah. They can just blend in, and they can hide in plain sight. And I don't know if that's a cloaking ability or just great camouflage. Well, I don't know.
I got to ask you, and Brandy, you've been here, so let's get your opinion on this.
Okay.
So our friend Kathy, where we're having our pre-party on that Thursday at Big River Ranch. So Kathy used to have a bunkhouse, and it was outside there. And Brandy, you've been in her old bunkhouse, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay. So you know where that location is.
Yes.
So it was one night she called me all kinds of freaking out. And there was a loud bang, 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 bang on her door to the bunkhouse. She got up, and where this bunkhouse is, there's no woods around it. It's an open, flat pasture. It's right behind a horse riding arena. Nobody was in there. She walked outside, walked around the building, and she had thought that Marlon, who had used to run the ranch, was messing with her. She walked up to the event center, and he was asleep. So I don't know if, maybe it was some sort, because she and we had our first Bigfoot encounter out there at the ranch. And so I don't know if it might have been a Bigfoot that did that, and maybe it was cloaked, because she walked outside, she walked all around it, and there was nothing out there. And Brandy knows this location. Like, there's no trees to hide around. There's nothing for any entity or nothing to hide around. And that's the only reason I ask, because I'm not saying it was Bigfoot, but I'm not saying it's not. It wasn't, I don't know.
You know what, though? That place truly is haunted.
It is.
We know that there was battles fought there. There's all kinds of things going on in that area. It could have been that.
Could have been. Yeah.
And that's the sad part about the ranch, is because you can't blame it on one thing, because it's it's got two things happening in this area. It's got your cryptid and your paranormal kind of clashing out there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know.
I don't know either. She called me. She was all kinds of freaking out.
It could have been either. It could have been either thing. That's all I'm going to say about that place. It could have been either or. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if there's already a known like it's known to have spiritual activity, I would lean that way personally, because I mean, unless you see a Bigfoot hammering on your door or something else, how can you jump to that?
She said there was absolutely nothing out there. Nothing.
Right.
Out there.
And we've heard banging. I mean, we've
not like that. From what she says, it was like like a person bang, bang, bang. Yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting regardless, Yeah. So Brent, are you coming Thursday for our pre-party?
I'm going to come in. Yeah, I'm going to plan on coming in on Thursday. Hopefully getting there sometime around noonish. I'm hoping.
Okay.
I mean, that's maybe ambitious, but we'll have to make sure we have phone numbers traded and stuff so I can stay in touch.
Oh, absolutely. Oh yeah, for sure. And I added you. I believe you're in that private Crossing Realms.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. It's a group I created. It's just for like speakers and special guests and people that'll be coming.
Okay, I haven't seen
anyway,
that.
I'll double check. I'm pretty sure you're in there. You may not have accepted the invite either. So, but yeah, I'll post my number and Brandy's both, so people will be able to get a hold of either one of us.
Absolutely.
And Brandy, you need to answer your damn phone at that week, because a lot of times she don't answer her phone.
Guys, I turn off my ringer because like everybody likes to text, and I'm getting these bings and bongs and all the chirping noises, and I'm like, I can't handle it. I can't sleep. So I turn it off, and then I just forget to turn it on.
Yeah. So I'll call her, and she doesn't answer, and she's yeah. And I know she's got her damn phone on her.
It could be sitting right next to me, and I won't know.
So that day, I'll have to remind Brandy, turn your phone on.
Yeah, I'll turn. Yes, while I'm at the conference, I will have my phone on.
Yeah. Josh, the pre-party will be that Thursday. I'll let you know the times and stuff. I'll put it out there, but it will be that Thursday evening at Big River Ranch, which is about 8 miles from the conference area.
Yes.
Woohoo.
So,
God, it's a long time away, and I'm so anxious for it to get here. But at the same time, I don't want summer to fly by either, So it's like,
right. I know.
But I'm very excited to come and be a part of this.
We're excited for it too. Yeah.
Well, weather-wise, I'm just going to say this to everyone out there: if the weather is going to be as bipolar as it has been this spring, I can pass summer up real simple. Just let it fly by. I don't need it anymore. This weather has been awful, and
pack shorts and a hoodie.
Yeah, shorts, hoodie. Maybe a snowmobile suit. It'll be great.
Yep. So anyway, I know you have a show to do here, and I am going to drop your link again.
Thank you.
In chat here. So you guys head over to the Paranormal Portal. You will be going live here in about 30 minutes?
Yeah, I'll be going live at 7 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Central. So.
Yep. So
There
you
you
guys
go.
tune in over there. And thank you, Brent. This has been fun. This went by really, really quick.
It's great conversation. Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are awesome. Thank you for having me back. And
Yep, well,
I'm
you're
happy to
welcome
show up anytime. Okay,
Yep,
thank you.
Anytime. Open invitation. All right, guys. We will see everybody on Brent Show, 30 minutes. And then tomorrow we have Paranormal Paul, we have Donny Cho, and then we have BMR. So
yeah,
we'll see y'all then.
See you later. Good night.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.